1 minute. The Editor-in-Chief is live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, kia ora, good morning. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the program. You're with the Editor-in-Chief, and we are live. Great to have your company. And we may be in the middle of a recession, but MediaWorks has invested in some new lights, or a new light, which is astonishing. Second-hand it may be, but it's a pretty good light, so you can see my eyes maybe. I'm Duncan, Garner, and the open line is 0800 863 293. We all know there's a massive GP shortage, and it's getting worse. So we have found a solution. Well, that's a bit misleading. Public health workers, Grant and Louise Schofield have. They are standing by to tell us all about it. From health to education we go. The mid-year school reports are out, so we pull on a headmaster and ask, what's the true state of school learning in New Zealand? How we're looking. And turbulence. Why suddenly does a plane trip feel like you're sitting in an earthquake simulator? And could your flight be next? What's going on? Have you experienced terrible turbulence? Call me 0800 863 293. Let's talk. Jump on the TikTok, the YouTube, all the things ahead. Have a look at them. You can leave a comment. Text me 3598. It's news time. Here's MediaWorks Deputy News Editor Grace Cocker. Very good morning.
A new study has revealed a disturbing link between eating disorders and the pandemic. It found hospital admissions increased by nearly 50%. University of Auckland's David Mankus says anorexia affected one group the most.
The largest increase was actually in teenage girls. It's between 10 and 19, really, who showed the strongest effect.
A number of students have been rescued from the West Auckland bush overnight. Police, Landsar and the Eagle helicopter responded to calls for help. The group was found just after midnight near Whatipu in the Waitakere Ranges. No injuries were reported. Human trafficking figures are being described as the tip of the iceberg. In New Zealand alone, there have been more than 1,090 allegations in the last year. Sintichi Collins from human rights group ECPAT fears it could be much worse.
I work with a number of survivors who I know have not formally reported, so I can only assume that there is a much larger number.
More than 100 people, mainly women and children, have been crushed to death at a Hindu religious gathering in India. Greece has become the first EU country to introduce a 6-day working week. The move is aimed at addressing a shrinking population and shortage of skilled workers. It applies to private businesses that provide 24-hour services. Workers can choose to do an additional 2 hours a day or an extra 8-hour shift. To sport, and in football, the Netherlands have beaten Romania 3-0 at Euro 2024. Austria and Turkey are playing now, with the winner to face the Dutch in the quarterfinals. England's named a strong team for Saturday's opening rugby test in Dunedin. The All Blacks named their side tomorrow. And former England cricket captain Sir Geoffrey Boycott has been diagnosed with throat cancer for a second time and will have surgery. The 83-year-old was previously treated for the illness in 2002. That's news and sport.
Thank you, Grace. Now, do not tell Chris Luxon about this thing that could catch on, the 6-day working week.
Gosh, it is something that could be rolled out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd hate it.
So what's the guts? And this is in Greece.
Yeah, so they just need to boost their economy. It'll be mainly for manufacturing. I think it's hospitality and tourism industries are exempt, but it's all these private businesses, 24-hour services. So that could almost be anything, though, because anything could be a 24-hour service. So
this is a country that retired their train drivers at age 50 on $100,000 a year for the rest of their life.
I should have moved to Greece then.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not with this, actually. Not with this.
Not with
this.
Good now.
But I guess that's media in a nutshell as well, right? 6-day weeks.
10-hour days. Shock horror. And what do they call it? What have they said a 10-hour day is? They've described it as
Barbaric. That's what the unions have said. Barbaric.
Okay, good stuff. What a word.
Garner.
Okay, so the nationwide shortage of GPs is at breaking point. In Lower Hutt, a clinic with 9,000 patients yesterday announced it has had to stop doing face-to-face consultations. In April, the Papamoa Pines Medical Centre shut completely. It had 6,000 patients, and it's not going to get much better. The GP shortage is global, which means, well, we can't bring doctors in from overseas, can we? And our ageing workforce means in 10 years, things will be worse. But what if the solution lay in the old saying that prevention is better than the cure? Grant and Louise Schofield have worked in public health for decades. When they worked out we spend less than 1% of the health budget preventing disease and 99% of it treating it, they had a light bulb moment. They started Prekure, a bold new initiative that trains health professionals to work with patients alongside doctors. Lightens the load, you see. And they join me now. Guys, nice to see you. Welcome.
Morning.
Morena.
Yeah, so how does this work, Grant? I'll start with you.
Well, I think, like you're right, you take a step back and you're going, well, what's going on here? We've got clinics now opening with no doctors, and you've heard of one in Palmerston North, but they're happening actually all over the country. So it's just going to happen more and more. So I think the frightening statistic for this is in 10 years you can expect half of our general practice and general practice nurse workforce to be gone.
That's pretty scary, isn't it?
Yeah, they've either moved to Aussie,
Yep.
they've retired, or the workload's got too much and they're burnt out. So
It's probably all of the above, isn't it? Yeah. So what's the answer? What do we do?
Duncan, we've got to put health back into our hands. No one cares more about your health than you do. Not your GP, maybe your mum does, but the power of health, the power of health is in our hands. We need to take control. It's the things we do every day, what we choose to eat, if we move or not, what we're doing. We can control how we're going to live the last 15 years of our lives.
And this is not brain surgery, and it's not that radical. It's actually what we've been told for years and years and years, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've got to invest in it though, and so that's the basic reality. You get what you pay for, and we've paid for a sickness system, and that's good. Like, we want that, right? You break your leg, you get cancer, you want treatment, and we've got world-class treatment across most of that.
But GPs are crucial, aren't they? Because that's the bit that stops us going to the next level of the hospital and the serious wait times and all that sort of stuff that clogs hospitals. So yours would be even before that GP level. Yours is saying, well, you're not going to get sick. You're going to prevent yourself getting sick.
Well, that's utopia, prevention.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Right at the moment, we're in crisis. Professionally well-trained health coaches can help the GP work at the top of their scope. They can come in. People are going to the GP because they've got chronic disease. The GP can't talk to them for 45 minutes and coach them about nutrition and exercise and what they can do for their stress. A well-trained health coach can. Let the GPs work at the top of their scope. Bring these other health professionals who can change lifestyle.
So empower them. And what's a health professional? No, just take it to the word GP. So you've got GPs, but what's a health professional? Grant, you...
So, well, there's everyone in the primary care sector. That's psychologists, that's nurses, that's physios. They've all got a role.
Yep.
But let's face it, there's not just a workforce shortage in GPs, the actual doctors. It's every single one of these professions.
Right across. How many workers do you think we're short in the health sector? What's the number you guys think?
I think between 5,000 and 10,000 just in the nursing and doctors part, and then you go wider than that. It's actually hard to say, but they say we're probably 3,000 psychologists short of what we need.
I saw that too. Yeah. I saw that. So with that, how did it get to this point? Is it we haven't funded a population increase? Because this has slowly got worse and worse and worse. How did it get to this point?
I think we have relied too much on the system about expertising health and compartmentalising it, and we're not empowering our kaiawhina workforce, our community workforce, who can make the change. It's all specialists and waiting lists for appointments.
And see, the thing about waiting lists is the truth is that people on those lists, a lot of these people will never get to that service, will never get to that operation or that level of healthcare, will they? No. Their name's on there, but they keep dropping off.
Yeah, I think at the moment the wait list in hospital for surgical procedures is 78,000 people. So, I mean, it's an astonishing
That's Eden Park twice full. Yeah. Oh, that's a big queue. That's a big queue. So how? Just paint me a picture of how it looks then, of how your stuff. Give me 10 years time. How it works.
So you've got a bunch of community social workers and other people in the community that have for one reason or another, often made progress with their own health. They've gone, hey, you know what, if I change these things, turn out better, I've reversed my diabetes, I've lost weight, got in shape, don't have to have my knee operation anymore. There's people. They're the people who are keen to move into health. They don't need training for a long time, but they do need training. So in 4 to 6 months, you've got someone up to speed, ready to help out. They're not operating by themselves, so Duncan. They're in a practice team.
Yeah, right. So they take the load off the GP. So they're basically they're pre-screening. They're pre-screening and they're pre-working for the GP.
Pre and post, yeah.
Absolutely. So one example is our Pacifica workforce, who we have trained up, the community workers, in partnership with Pacifica Medical Association. So now there's well-trained mental health coaches and health coaches going to the Pacific community, working in the churches, getting the prevention, making the difference, because a lot of our Pacifica people aren't going to the GP.
Yeah. And then it's too late, it's diabetes, isn't it? Yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what do you need? You need funding? What is it you require?
I think the normal medical crusty old guys that are going, just give us more of the same and we'll do better. I think that was Einstein that said the definition of stupidity is doing the same thing, expecting the same outcome, and there's 1,000 of those memes.
And so that's what GPs are saying now. They want more money because they can get more people and they can see more people.
Yeah, and if you want to practice medicine that is a burnout medicine, rather than actually, I don't know a single GP or practice nurse, or actually anyone in health who came into health just to be overloaded by sick people and be the ambulance at the bottom of the clip. It's such an old meme, right?
Yeah, it is. And you go to a health centre now. So where was I recently with my son? At White Cross, one of those places. And I saw the nurse first, and she did all the screening. She gave me antibiotics and sent me on my way. I never saw a doctor.
Yeah. Good.
So that's sort of happening at that level anyway, isn't it?
Absolutely. And what do we need? We need passionate, committed people who understand that your health span can equal your lifespan. If that's you, come and train. Come and upskill.
Do you have Shane Reddy's number? He's a health
text it.
He's the health minister. I'll just see what we've got here. But have you been in touch with him about this?
I think we've been starting with Matt Ducey and mental health, because that's the other completely non-existent workforce, right?
Yeah.
So there's at least in general practice, we have a structure, a workforce that's declining. It's going to be in a shambles. It is in crisis. So mental health doesn't even exist, right?
No. So with this, and final question here, with this crisis, what's the very worst case scenario? If your stuff doesn't take off, and we continue down this path, paint me a picture of this very worst case scenario. What are we going to see?
So you're going to be in a situation where you're urgently sick. Your only option is to go to the ED. The ED has a 24-hour wait time. And that's
now.
Yeah.
That's close to now.
Yeah, that's close to now. So that's just going to accelerate, presumably, and there's literally going to be no care unless you're bleeding out. You're at the back of the queue, and so there's no solution. And then the problem with that, Duncan, is that most of our disease is preventable in the first place, and the health system, because it's been taken over by procedures and pharmaceutical companies, is driven in a way not to think about that. And that'll get worse.
See, money doesn't seem to be the answer here, because the more money we put into things, the worse it gets. This government, despite all the criticism of Labor, spent $5 billion more in this last budget than Labor spent in their last one. And the majority of that went into health. I track all this stuff. Yeah. So if money's the answer, there's no solution. So we have to restructure things.
Yeah. We do. And at Prekure, we started in 2018 and we said we're not waiting on the government. We're not waiting on academia. We are a high-impact social business with purpose, and we're going to make a difference. And hopefully, sure, the government will come on board, but we're not waiting for that, Duncan. Yeah. We're getting on and doing it now.
We will die waiting for these guys. Grant, Louise, I appreciate your time on the program. All the very best. Take care.
Garner.
Okay, it's 0800 863 293. Duncan says, MB, I remember in Wainuiomata during the 70s, my community was serviced by one doctor. I could get an appointment the same day, and this doctor serviced our community for many years. Yeah, that might be the case, but life's changed, hasn't it? We've got all sorts of paperwork and red tape and all sorts of things in the way now, so the doctor can't see as many people. And it's all called a population boom as well. I think you'll find there's a massive population boom. We've had a policy in this country the last 15 years to add 1 million people to this country. It took, 170 years to get to 4 million, and the next million came in 15 years. And we don't fund it. We're idiots. We're bloody idiots. We're doing it to ourselves. They say that we sure live in turbulent times. And have you noticed how many news stories there are suddenly about turbulence? Well, please return to your seat. Fasten your seatbelt. This is about to go nuts. It's scary, isn't it? Yesterday, an Air Europa flight was forced to make an emergency landing at a Brazilian airport due to severe turbulence. About 40 passengers were taken to hospitals. Is it happening more often, and why? NIWA's meteorologist Richard Turner joins me now on the program. Richard, g'day.
Yeah, good morning, Duncan.
Is this climate change?
Well, for a start, I'll just say, the trends are towards increasing cases of severe turbulence and moderate to severe turbulence under climate change, and there is sort of a documented increase in the rate of these incidents, but it's not quite fair to sort of blame climate change for particular incidents, but what we can say is that, say, for every 3 or 4 incidents of these sort of situations, that maybe 1 to 2 might be due to climate change.
Right, so how does it work? So when a plane hits turbulence, what's it actually hitting? Why the sudden movement?
Yeah, generally in this sort of situation, there might be an area of very rapid change of horizontal wind speed with height, and that can generate sort of mechanical turbulence, which is very violent upward or downward motions, and the aircraft has probably come into a pocket of very strong downward motion, a sort of a rotor, and is sort of descended quite dramatically. I think in this instance about 400 metres very rapidly.
Yeah. Is there more of these sorts of conditions, and I'm not trying to blame climate change, but are there more of these conditions, atmospheric conditions now than there have been in the past due to the fact that, the planet might be warming?
Yeah, I think so. And it's still a fairly low incidence rate, generally, but the mechanism that we think is behind this is that there's sort of like an increasing what we call equator to pole temperature or density gradient, and that relates to the vertical shear, the magnitude of the vertical shear, and that's how wind speed increases with height. So the very strongest jet streams are expected to get even stronger with climate change. But so those jets are going to get stronger and more violent. So.
I wonder what the stats are on driving to that location rather than flying. I wonder if it's probably still more dangerous to drive, I suppose, than fly.
Well, I think it'd be a bit hard across the Atlantic, but generally, I think flying's pretty still very, very safe compared to driving, I would think. And as one of the experts from overseas said, there's still about a 1 in a million chance of encountering clear air turbulence or severe enough to have an injury. So that's a lot of flights. Yeah,
although it's been a busy few weeks because this is the other thing too. You have clusters of headlines and then suddenly people fear it and they're scared of it, and because there's been 3 or 4 cases. There's probably all sorts of unreported cases too, and it's just that's the case.
There's a lot of low-level turbulence events that probably don't result in injuries, and it's the ones that do. And it is concerning though that they are increasing, and I guess from an individual perspective it's probably not as concerning, but from an industry-wide perspective it would be, because they have to look at the whole collective. So
what's the biggest, given the atmospheric conditions, because you look at this stuff and it speaks to you, I look at it and I have no idea what it means, but are some of these holes that big that planes could drop further than 400 metres? Is it possible?
I think the Singapore Airlines flight that encountered turbulence over Myanmar, I think that was about a kilometre drop, which is really, really, really much. But that seems to be about the most that I've heard of. So
a kilometre drop. Let me just so that's 2 400-metre tracks plus another 200 metres. That's phenomenal.
Yes, but fortunately these events are occurring up around the level of the jet stream, which is about 10 kilometres high. So there is time for the pilots to recover. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, all the best. I appreciate your time on the program. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Duncan.
Okay. Cheers.
Duncan Garner.
Yeah, boy. We used to fly into Wellington. Willie, I might bring you in here. Willie, welcome. Nice to see you, mate. Welcome. Flying into Wellington, I used to almost crave a bit of turbulence because the planes were so smooth, and suddenly you hit, the Wellington jet stream, and whew.
Yeah, but it's as scary as bloody hell. I've had I used to fly in and out of Wellington every week with a previous job, and it could be scary as hell.
Oh, yeah, we tried once 3 times to land.
Yeah.
Once we hit the thing, and then it took off again.
That first experience where they say we're going to go round.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa. It's a moment of like, oh shit, this isn't good.
I had a tape on board. It was a tape on board, maybe from the Lundy trial or something. But I had to bring this tape back, and I couldn't get it back for the 6 o'clock news.
Oh.
The news. It's the news.
That sacrosanct thing.
Wasn't it? Yeah. Well, I threw it out the window, but there's no one there.
But it is terrifying. It is. I think that's amazing. But have you seen the videos of them testing the wing spars and the span in the middle? And they can basically hang the aircraft off the wing. That is amazing.
Isn't it funny though? People sort of grab your knee and it's a bit too much. Well, they grab you. What am I going to do, mate?
I'm going to pray to God with you.
Yeah. Get your hands off me. Suddenly realise there's Jerry Brownie sitting next to you. Get off, Jerry.
Don't touch Duncan. You never know where he's been.
Yeah, exactly. You'll pick up something. Okay, 0800 863. This is mean, Willie. 0800 863 293 is the number.
3 questions from the Editor-in-Chief. 1.
At number 1 today, hands up who would put a bomb under Orangatamari and start again. Me. They really have become a hapless organisation, and they now admit they have no idea, or even a rough estimate of the number of kids they have in care, and no idea how many have been across the agency in their lifetime. How would you know what you need, and how are you able to protect kids if you've got no idea who's there and who's looking after them? And given this woeful performance, can someone please tell me why we pay the Chief Executive, Chappie Takani, $700,000 a year? That's $50,000 a month. Cut that and watch inflation fall.
2.
At number 2, who wants to fly 9 hours from the departure point of Auckland, only to land 9 hours later in Auckland? Yay. Air New Zealand customers had to. No other options. Their flight to Shanghai got halfway there before Air New Zealand pilots realised something was wrong with the oil. Not great. Shanghai was 4 hours away and unlikely to assist, so it was head for home. We're unsure whether passengers had a choice of the chicken or the beef for the return leg, but 9 hours return flight, departed Auckland, landing in Auckland sounds like maximum pain to me. And
3.
At number 3, why don't we do this? The Swedes have come up with a policy that pays grandparents to look after the grandkids. It makes total sense. So money like paid parental leave, normally paid to mum or dad, now becomes flexible and can go to a nana or papa. Chance of us doing this? I'd offer it in a heartbeat, actually. I'm sure there'll be someone that takes an issue with it.
Garner.
Okay, so we're halfway through the school year. Parent-teacher interviews. We're doing ours tomorrow. Yeah, we're doing ours tomorrow, and the reports come in, the mid-year reports come in, so far so good. We've navigated the first 6 months as a turd or a third former, known as Year 9. That's the one, a turd, remember that? It's been a year of change for our schools, with the new Minister, Erica Stanford, demanding a return to what reading, writing and maths and all those things, a ban on cell phones. So let's do our own report card on the schools. Is there a truancy crisis? Are our kids doing badly? Is the teacher shortage now better or worse? Is the curriculum fit for purpose? Why are our kids not achieving like they used to? Surely it can't be all so bleak. I've seen some great kids around. Principal of Albany Senior High School, Claire Amos, joins us now. G'day.
Morning, Duncan.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you. How are our kids doing? What's the state of education?
I think it's a mixed bag. We've got a young people that have experienced a whole lot of pressures, and we've got a whole lot of societal things that are going on. That means that a lot of our young people are coming to us having done it tough. But at the end of the day, they are great young people, and our teachers are working really hard to support them.
As you look at the whirlwind of things around people now, there's just so many complexities. Life's it was much simpler in our day.
Oh,
you know?
Absolutely.
You rode your bike to school. You had no helmet, so there were no seatbelts in cars. And it was one of those societies, wasn't it?
Yeah, and everything is amplified by social media as well. I often reflect on, gosh, I wouldn't want to be a teenager and have absolutely everything shared online.
Imagine it. We would have been in huge trouble.
Absolutely hideous.
Yeah.
We had a lot of freedoms and a lot less pressure, and we were trying to live up to a lot less than these young people are. I think they've got some really unrealistic ideas of what it means to be successful.
And we knew less, didn't we? Because we didn't have the internet. We had Encyclopedia Britannica, and anything we eavesdropped at home, whatever our parents said,
Absolutely.
If there was some mad racist in the house at the time, well, that's what you heard,
Yeah.
So with the learnings, with NCEA, I've heard that it's not a great qualification, it's too easy, and we need to upgrade it. Is that true?
No, I don't think that is true. I think NCEA is actually a really innovative qualification, and I think what we need to do is ensure that we're resourcing our schools well enough and resourcing our teachers well enough to to make the most of actually what is really an innovative qualification framework. We also have an incredibly innovative curriculum that is currently under threat at the moment as well.
That's right. So with the curriculum, do you claim it's fit for purpose?
I do think it's fit for purpose, and I was actually really excited to see what was coming through in the curriculum refresh. I'm getting sick and tired of every consecutive government coming in and being swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
Education needs to be apolitical. It needs to be heavily invested in. I think of all the time and the energy and the money that is being wasted on changes when we could be spending that on teachers, because quality teachers is what we need.
Totally, they make a huge difference, the massive difference. Now, why our kids are guinea pigs, you see? I mean, I've got 4 kids that have been through the system, and last ones are through now. They're guinea pigs. There's chop and change. Yes, this is a priority, now it's not.
Yeah.
How are they meant to survive?
Yeah, it's really tough. And the teachers are absolutely stuck in the middle of all of that change, and they are doing their best. Our teachers are doing really well. No one fix is going to make a real difference. This idea of a one-size-fits-all structured literacy approach, a one-size-fits-all approach to mathematics, I'm really worried that we're potentially staring down the barrel of going to like a prescribed syllabus. We don't need that in New Zealand.
What does that mean?
That means telling teachers what to do when in a really step-by-step, sort of factory model sort of way.
Yeah, that worries me too, because where's the creativity and your ability and license to teach?
And as we've seen recently in those PISA results, we are ahead of the game in terms of creativity. And in this world, in the sort of the world that we're living in the times and the complexity that we're living in, creativity is king.
But it is. But some of our headline numbers aren't great though in those international.
No, they aren't.
Why have we gone backwards?
I think there's a number of reasons. I mean, I do think we need more detail in our curriculum. I haven't got a problem with having a more scaffolded, supported and well-resourced curriculum.
Yes.
But I do not think we need a lockstep, one-size-fits-all approach. And
you're concerned you're getting this from this government?
Yeah, I'm concerned that's where we are going. So we're starting to hear rumbles and rumours about things getting reviewed and re-reviewed and re-reviewed.
Like what?
Things like having a new English and maths curriculum is about to be rolled out. I'm concerned as to who might be writing that curriculum.
Who is it?
Well, we know that we have...
Not the churches, are they?
No, but we know the NZ Initiative is potentially having an effect with Michael Johnston being a key advisor.
It's a far-right think tank.
Absolutely, and Elizabeth Rata is sitting in that space. I want to make sure that what we have... I have no problem with them being involved, but we need a diverse group of people being involved to make sure whatever we get is fit for purpose for our diverse schools and young people.
Where's all the sex education stuff ended up at? Remember, Brian Tamaki was claiming that at some stages schools were teaching their kids how to become LGBTQR, whatever it was.
Yeah,
come on.
Maybe it's in the fourth quarter. We will have to wait and see.
I'll just check the fourth quarter memo. They're going to review a cabinet paper on Tuesday, the 19th of September. So, with our kids, are you sure that they're learning enough?
I think we can. As I say, I'm not against improving our curriculum, and I'm not against us having a more clearly scaffolded year-by-year curriculum that we can dip in and dip out of. What I'm afraid is that we're going to lose the creativity in terms of how we deliver that curriculum. It is really important that we contextualise our learning. What we do need to invest in is learning support. We have more and more diverse learners.
Teacher aides and things like that?
Absolutely. And I suspect
these
social
guys
media...
aren't going to give you that. These guys are cutting back.
Yeah, but we care about these young people, don't we? And the way that we can actually support the outcomes improving is resource teachers better, have more learning support available, acknowledge the fact that we're having young people coming into the classroom with more diverse learning needs than we've ever seen before.
How distracted are kids in the classroom at the moment? When I say distracted, I mean what sort of challenges do they present?
Look, I don't think they're particularly distracted by their phones. To be fair, I think that was a virtue signalling,
of course it was.
exercise because we were all managing phone distractions. I think they are distracted by the internet, but that said, I'm also a big fan of us leaning into technology and using it effectively.
It's a fine balance, isn't it? Because they need to be on it because they're modern citizens in this world that's AI and all the stuff's happening and changing. But also, you don't want them up till midnight.
No.
On a chat group and not have enough sleep and come back the next day disengaged.
And gaving overnight.
And you must see
doing
this.
whatever they do. Yeah, absolutely we do. We do see the impact of all of those things. And we see the impact that when bullying happens online, when deep fakes happen online, all of that stuff has an impact on our young people. And so we're seeing the challenges we had as teenagers absolutely multiplied and amplified, and we need to support them.
Because you see that in the brutality too. And sometimes you see a punch up in a schoolyard or whatever. And back in our day, it was 1-on-1 all over.
Yeah.
But now these guys are covering it with their phones, and it's all filmed, and they don't stop,
Oh, and it's archived forever.
I know. And do they
that's
realise
a real
an
problem for
employer
our
will
young
see this one
people.
day and they'll never employ you again?
Yeah, yeah, and everyone worries about their digital footprint and la-di-la. But at the same time, I am someone who says we need to close our digital divide, because as much as digital technologies can place extra stress and be a risk for our young people, we also need to make sure every young person has access to technology and knows how to use it effectively. We're seeing how artificial intelligence is changing the world of work.
I mean, people think we're in the same room right now talking.
I know. I'm a mirage. Who knew? But I'm really concerned that as long as the digital divide exists, we're also going to get a growing divide in terms of who has the relevant skills when they go out into the world of work beyond school.
And I speak to employers and they say, increasingly it's hard to find these kids with the skills.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need to...
With their attitude, they don't want to turn up and do a day's work.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's something we can support. I mean, a lot can be solved if you actually trust school leaders, trust schools, resource them better, pay teachers what they're worth, and get learning support in the classrooms.
Are teachers still underpaid?
Yes, they are.
Right. So what should a teacher be paid? What should a senior teacher be paid?
Well, I would like to see us at least matching what happens in Australia, so maybe 120, 130k. You want the very best people in front of your young people. If you think of how many hours a year your young person spends with a teacher, don't you want the very best?
Far too much.
But you compare that to time that you have with them as a parent. Teachers are hugely influential.
Oh yeah, they really
and
are.
I want to make sure we're attracting the very best, and that we're
Are
actually.
we though?
We are attracting great teachers. Don't get me wrong. There's fantastic teachers and they are working their butts off. And at the moment, they're having to fill gaps because we are understaffed.
We're waving the good ones goodbye to Australia, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
How many have you got? Have you lost many?
We haven't lost. We've lost a handful. We've lost young teachers, which is a real shame to Australia because they see that opportunity. Because the trouble is when you start teaching, you start on a very low income and it takes 10 years to get to the top of the scale. In the meantime, they can go across to Australia and they can have a better sort of lifestyle, better cost of living, particularly
What
if you're
can
an
we
Auckland
offer? What's
teacher.
our carrot? What do we offer them as a carrot?
I think we should be paying for them to be trained in the first place. I think we should be bonding them to schools. I think we should be paying them a lot more money, and we should also be supporting them to upskill on the job. So I'd love to see our teachers supported to get their masters and higher qualifications once they're on the ground.
They've never been in the classroom.
But we're amazing.
Paying them all this money to get the best qualification they can to go to Australia one day. You never see them.
And that's where I think bonding is a really good idea.
Yeah. You're optimistic though.
I am optimistic. I think I have the best job in the world. I've been in education for 26 years now, and you would not find me anywhere else.
You wouldn't want to do podcasting?
I quite like the sound of my own voice, so it might be the next thing.
Hey, all the best. We appreciate your time on the program. Yeah, good luck. Oh, those kids.
Garner.
Okay, so welcome to the program if you are just joining us. Good to have you here. It's 0800 863 293. I don't know. Heaps of teens in the hood went into the workforce during COVID to help their whānau work. You see, they work now. That's where a lot of the kids went. They went to work because their parents needed them to. Simple as that.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, yesterday I told you the rather alarming story of King's College cheating by stacking older rugby players in their under-14A rugby team to beat Mount Albert Grammar last Saturday. Well, I got a call last night. Kings were very unhappy with the coverage and the publicity I gave them, suggesting I defamed them. And would I bring the podcast down? I said, no, I haven't defamed you. I simply told the truth. I said no one had sullied their reputation, only them. They sullied their own reputation by openly cheating, by organising older boys, and we still don't know how many to play Mount Albert. We don't know how many boys turned up to play them in terms of the older ones. It turns out Kings, as soon as it was put to them on Monday, they admitted it, and they agreed to forfeit the game, so no argument from them once they were caught. But there's still confusion around just how many boys they fielded. But what worries me is they appear more concerned about the public perception than they do about being contrite and putting this right. As it turns out, they had decided to stack the team on Thursday, and no one thought it was a bad idea, so they actually organised it on Thursday. Now they're worried about the issue festering in public. They want me to stop the publicity. Sorry, consequences matter. Just ask Ben Johnson. I was also told that one of the older boys who played on Saturday scored 2 tries against us. There's the game. Yeah, of course he did. Then my inbox went nuts yesterday, as to social media. I got this email. Hi, Duncan, it says. I wanted to reach out to you to let you know a few things. I saw your report on the King's College incident recently about the disgusting conduct they have dived into concerning the sporting side of things. However, my concern doesn't correlate with sport. It's about conduct that is upheld throughout the school. I wanted to formally speak out on the King's College's recent behaviours. It's just shocking how a school such as King's can dismiss and not recognise the significance in relation to these events. My daughter, says this letter, used to attend King's College and was sexually harassed by the boys there, especially when the time came around to swimming sports and cross country. From the catcalling, my daughter was called a cheeky slut, to making nicknames such as fat slut. Their behaviour is disgusting and the school knows about it and has taken no action whatsoever to try to prevent this from occurring. I feel that when a school that is regarded so highly can get away with these sorts of issues and just sort of hide them away from people's ears, it's unfair. With the multitude of complaints that me and my husband made, the continuous quote, we will speak to the boys involved and we'll take appropriate action, the heads of the school just brushed this matter off their shoulders so easily. The headmaster, Simon Lamb, held the same attitude and that they would deal with the issue and try to prevent it all. Something needs to change at the school, and I think it's going to take people's attention to influence a change on that school. With the influence, Duncan, you have over New Zealand, I'd greatly appreciate you speaking out on this topic. Yours sincerely, Lena. I haven't given your surname because I don't believe it's in anyone's interests at this stage. Now, I'm not saying King's is a bad school. All schools have issues, okay? So I'm not picking on them. All schools have issues. I'm reluctant to turn this into a shooting sort of season on elite schools, you know. But the same things happened with former King student, now National MP Sam Uffendale, who whacked a kid with a beard leg. Remember that at the school? That was all covered up. Nothing to see here. But this is now 2024, and accountability and transparency, all that stuff matters. Cover-ups and lies and cheating has no place in life and no place in schools. It's ethically wrong, and the wrong message for boys to learn as well. King's is teaching them that cheating's okay. Just try and get away with it, guys. Caught, bugger, mere copper. Try and get the podcast taken down, eh? Try and limit the damage. Look at Dilworth and the cover-up there. Horrific. I'm not suggesting King's is anything like this. Horrific events covered up. It's not right and never will be. I will naturally get stick for picking on King's, but this is their problem. It's their doing. It's not mine. So, sorry. You go away. If you set the standards low early, they'll just carry on. And when you pay $50,000 a year to learn at King's, I'd want my money back because teaching boys to cheat is a poor curriculum choice. Okay? Thank you very much, folks.
Garner.
Yeah, rugby nonsense happens all over the country, says Tooks. It's not new. Big schools always win, even when they get caught cheating. Kings have got a good first 15 this year, I think. What's your take on it, Willie? You've sat back and watched this one for 24 hours?
I think that taking that school out of the equation here, I think that high school sports, its parents get involved and it just turns into rubbish.
Yeah.
I remember water polo. My daughter played water polo. I've got a 21-year-old.
Quite an angry game, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's it's rugby in the water. There were different schools that would take other kids and offer scholarships to go there.
Still happening, mate. Yeah.
And it happens everywhere. And so I think it's actually one of the best things I've seen in soccer lately is they're telling parents on the sideline at football matches, don't yell out for the kids. Let them play the game.
Yeah.
And it's good. You watch the kids, they know their parents are there supporting them, they hear them clapping, but there's not some kid. And to be really honest, I was incredibly guilty of yelling out at my son, my daughter. Oh my God! But,
did you?
Oh my God, I was terrible.
Imagine if your son turned around and went, Dad. Hey?
He didn't need to do that, but he just had to look at me with his dark eyes.
Yeah, see, then you feel stink for it later on.
And you
as
feel
well.
bad,
you
right?
You really do. You know.
So
we need to be more dignified.
I think it's actually not just the schools. I think it's the entire way we approach kids' sports. That said, Tim O'Connor's wrong. Put the first 15 rugby back on the TV.
Exactly. What a massive oversight that is. All those principals.
Yep.
They're welcome to come in here and debate this with us. But
absolutely.
The best television program I have seen in years is the first 15 competition that was on Sky.
It was fantastic.
They took it off because of pressure on the boys. These boys want pressure because they thrive on it because they're going to go into the big time.
And they loved it because it gave them clout on their social because they all had bloody good clips they could use.
Well, guess what they do now? They get their mates to film it, and then it goes up anyway, so they want the footage.
Yeah, so
and it gets them a girlfriend as well, you see.
And
a contract over in Japan or something, you know?
And that's the idea.
Yeah. Do you play rugby or not? No.
I did play, but we've gone through this.
Yes.
You and I are the same age. Me playing rugby is stupid. It'll put me in intensive care.
Yeah, it will do. Well, there'll be a wait, of course, before we get in there. That is us, folks. This will be available as a podcast on Rover very shortly, and wherever you get your podcast, it'll be there. Thanks for your feedback and support. Miranda, thank you so much for working so diligently, putting the program out. You're brilliant. To my team, Willie, Kalo, Miranda, Forrester and Zarina. It just got bigger by one or two. Let's not tell the accountants, because we've got new lights in here as well. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is no curtain raiser. Have a great day, folks. You live in a great country, so let's go and do it again. Cheers.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.